So I'm going to go through, having just fixed this fuel pump. I know I have good fuel pressure. I already checked it. I've got a misfire on cylinder 2. I'm going to go through how I test that out, and we'll see what's causing that problem, and then we'll go and fix that. So the first thing I'm going to do when I have a cylinder that's not contributing is I'm going to do a clear flood crank. Push the gas pedal to the floor. It won't feed fuel, so it won't start, but I want to just listen, and you should be able to hear this. I just want to listen to the way the crank sounds. If you have a cylinder that has a compression issue, you can usually hear it in this. I'll probably do a cylinder compression test as well, but I just want to listen to what it sounds like when it's cranking. So hopefully you could hear that, and actually I'm happy to hear that, because it did not sound at all like I had a compression issue in the number 2 cylinder, which is the one who's not contributing. So that's a good thing. I will check it with a compression tester and kind of compare a couple cylinders, but I don't think that's the issue. So the next thing, I already know, because we just did the fuel pump, fuel's not an issue. I have plenty of pressure. Doesn't mean fuel's getting into the cylinder. If the injector's not working, I'm not going to get fuel. But I want to check spark and ignition electrical to that injector and to the spark plug. So the first thing I'm going to do is check from the coil to the spark plug, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And we'll just go through. I'll start it up. It's going to run rough. I already know that, but it'll give me a chance to check the spark at the coil, make sure I'm getting good spark on that cylinder. I can compare it to other cylinders just to make sure it's that cylinder that's causing the issue. When I go from cylinder to cylinder, when I get to the cylinder that's already not contributing, not doing anything, shouldn't be a change in the engine. You shouldn't hear it. The other cylinders, if I drop them out, you should hear a difference in the way the engine responds. And that'll tell us definitely the cylinder that's causing an issue. So I'm just going to come in here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe is what it is. Yeah, it is. So I believe it's number 2 cylinder from looking at the scan data that's causing an issue. I'm just going to unplug these and put them back in place, but not clip them down. They still fire, jump that if they're firing. That allows me to take them off real quick. And what I'm going to do is, when I start this, I'm going to take, you'll see this, I'm going to take this and hold this close. And be careful doing this, because these will nail you if you're not careful. And I'm going to let that spark jump to the, I have this hooked to battery negative, let it jump to that ground and listen to the engine as it does that, and we'll see what effect it has. Let me start this up. Difference in the way that the engine's behaving. Just drop it RPM there for this. Then we'll go to this third one, and you hear the difference. But they're all firing really well from the coil, so it doesn't look like the coil's causing an issue. The next thing I want to do is I want to go to the spark plug in and test that to make sure the spark is making it down to the spark plug. So I'm going to go to the number 2 cylinder, and I'm going to put this, unplug the spark plug, plug this into the spark plug. I pulled these spark plugs earlier, and there's definitely a difference in the way the number 1 spark plug looked and the number 2. So something's going on there. We're going to put this in on the spark plug and make sure that we have spark into that. I also, another check you can do, and I've already done this, is I just did a simple ohm test to unplug both ends of the wire, put it on a 20K ohm on the multimeter, and went from end to end, and I got 4,500 ohms. That's good. That's about what I would expect to see. It's about 1.5 feet long, maybe 1 foot long, 1.5 feet long. So that's not unusual. So I'm going to replace that now. Put the spark plug tester in there, and we'll see what it looks like. So all I'm going to do is take this, plug this in to this end, hook this to the spark plug, and then we'll take a look at that and see what it looks like. I'll shut this other light off so it'll be easier to see it. Clip that on the spark plug so I've got it in place. So I know I have spark, I have the key on, engine off, that's what you hear beeping right now. I know that's not an issue. It does not mean the injector's firing. If the injector's not firing, I'm not going to get any fuel, and I'm going to get a dead miss like I have. So there's a couple different ways you can go with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get this coil pack and unscrew it here. Just get it out of the way. The injectors are buried underneath of it. I'm going to test a couple things in there. Okay, so I'm going to come to the first. I don't even know if you can see this. Let's see if we can see this or not, but yeah, I'm going to come to this first injector. They're a little hard to get to. Let me get a pick to get in there. Let me see if I can get a better angle with the camera too. Okay, so I've got all 3 injectors unplugged, and the thing to look for on these is there's power wire. It should be the same color, and all 3 of these have a red wire, and then there's different color on each one of these. White one here, tan one, and a green with a black trace. The one that's the same color should be your power. So I've got my test light hooked to battery negative, key on, engine off, and I'm just going to probe the power side of each injector connector. It even rhymes. That's kind of weird. And I'm not going to jam this into them. You just want to touch it. You don't want to jam a test light into them and cause a pin fitment issue. So I'm just going to go to the red wire in each one of these. Let's see if I can get it here. Right there. See the light come on, hopefully. There you go. See it come on. Okay, I got power to that. I'll go to the next one. Got power to that one. That's number 2. Number 1. Check that too. Hopefully I can get this where you can see it. And I got power there. So I got power to all 3 of them. So while I have these unplugged, I'm going to do a simple ohm reading with a multimeter across the 2 terminals of each injector. And it should see somewhere 8 to 15, I think. I don't know what the exact spec is for this truck, but that's what I would expect. Something in that range here. So we're just going to check them with a multimeter. I've got it set on a 200 ohm range. It's the lowest one I have for this. So I'm just going to go to number 1 here. 1 lead to each of the terminals in the top of the injector. I can't, of course you can see it, but I can't see it now. So what do we got there? 14.2, about 14 ohms. We'll go to the second injector, and this is the one that I've got the dead miss on, the one that showed up. So let's see what we get here. Got my leads connected. I've got no reading. Just make sure I have that right. Make sure I'm not missing anything here. It's open. This injector's open, electrically open, so it's dead. That's why I'm getting a dead miss. So there's my problem on the number 2 cylinder. I'm also going to do number 3 back here. Try to get this coil pack out of the way here. Just to check it, since I'm in here. And it's tough to reach this one from up here, but I'm trying to keep it where you can see it. And let's see what we get on this one. See if I can get him in here. Nope, don't have it yet, unless it's dead. I don't think it's dead. There it is. That's up around 30 ohms. That's about twice as high as I would expect to see. So that's not open, but that third one is not very good either. So that's a couple checks you can do. That's a simple ohm check on them. But pointed out the problem. Number 2 is open. Number 2 injector is dead, basically. So that's the problem there. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug number 1 and number 3 back in. I'm going to leave number 2 unplugged. The other wire, we did the power wire, which in this case is the red wire to each injector. The other is a signal from the ECM, from the computer. So I'm going to start this up. I'm going to see if I can get this coil back a little bit here, see if I can just sneak it out around this. Okay, so here's the injector. I'm going to reconnect my test light to battery positive this time. So this is a ground side controlled circuit. It's going to ground, the ECM is going to ground that signal wire, and when it does that, it's going to get power to the injector. And that's how it's going to control it. So I want to get on the white wire in this case, which is the front one here. Kind of hard for you to see, but I want you to watch is my test light. It should pulse. If that computer is controlling the injector, then it'll ground, it'll intermittently pulse that with a ground, and it should light my test light. So let me go start it up. It's going to run rough, but it's running rough anyway. So I'm go start it up and we'll take a look at that. Let me shut this light off too, and maybe give you a little better look at it. Alright, get on the control wire here. White wire in this case. There you go. You see it pulsing that light. That means it's controlling the injector. So the ECM is doing its job. The other thing I can do is you can take a long screwdriver, put it down against the base of each injector while it's running and listen for it clicking. If it's clicking, it's firing that injector. But I already know this injector's done. There's an open in it. That's our dead miss. There's nothing else to say about it. I'm actually glad about that. I was concerned that there could have been a compression problem, and I still may put a compression tester on this cylinder just to see what it looks like. But I did not hear an issue when I was cranking, and the fact that that cylinder or that injector is dead, well, there's your issue. So that's it for the diagnosis. You know, I found that injector, it's open. It's got electrical open, and so it's no good, and that's why I'm getting a dead miss on that cylinder. That's it for this video. I mean, the next one will be pulling this apart and replacing the injectors. If you run into this problem, it just, you know, it's a real simple couple, you know, test light and a multimeter is all I needed to do these tests. You don't need sophisticated equipment. You don't need a scanner. Scanner helps. Sometimes you have to have a scanner, but you can get away with a couple of real basic tools here and figure out what's going on and what the problem is. I hope this video helps you out. If you like the video, subscribe below. Thanks for watching.